Hello there, this is Seraphim17 once again. This is my Dead Space 3 Impossible Difficulty video walkthrough. We're on Chapter 7, Mayhem, and that crossfade there is because the lurker killed me when I was messing with the space station, and if you want to see that, there is a video on my channel called Phantom Range. That literally is what happened just then. So, I'm going to fly down, hit one of the hidden rooms that's got a nice little stash in it just down here, and then I'm going to continue to remove the thruster engine thing objective that we're supposed to do at this moment in time. I've just flown down the wrong side of the broken ship. It's on this one, so just ignore that. Pretend you didn't see that, and we'll continue onwards. We're coming to the end of the space stuff on this game. Shortly after this we're going to be landing down on the planet that we've all been looking forward to get to. It's an interesting place. I do think it's an environment that they don't use as well as they could, but that's just a personal grievance I have with it. Especially when there's a hell of a lot of backtracking and a hell of a lot of optional missions that use its geometry, which I just think is ridiculous from a AAA title. But it is what it is, and this is not me complaining about that, this is me just critiquing that it should have been better. So now that we've done this, what you need to be careful of is if you look over to that what we've just come from over there, you'll see there's that guy. And when he does that, watch how it disappears. Oh wow, I wasn't far enough for it to disappear that time, but these things will hit you from pretty much any range. It's a little shitty if you ask me. See how, did you notice how it disappeared just then? That in normal game terms is the completely loses its influence. That is the limit of its range. You have a range with your kinesis. These things don't. They can still hit you regardless of if you can see the visible projectile, which is a little bullshitty, but it's a design choice. There are numbers being crunched as this is happening that we can't see, and it's all deliberate. But anybody that's been a little, shall we say, bemused by the start of this game in the flotilla going through areas that are very similar in the Dead Space universe, once you do go down onto the planet, things do mix it up, you know, sufficiently. You get a lot more loot, you get a lot more equipment and customization. You pretty much open the door to a whole world of new weaponry. Some of it good, some of it bad, some of it funny but not that useful. This is the objective we need to do. If you're ever low on air for whatever reason, there are these floating canisters that you can kinesis towards you, and then you can use them. He kind of looks like he's making out with the giant ice cream maker, but they give you air, they keep you alive, and that's all that matters. I will not be upgrading my air at any point in this game because you don't need to. I think it's a waste of points. The only time I'm going to do it is for the achievement for a fully upgraded rig. And then we can get back to the transportation system, and we can fly over to the Roanoke to pick up some pieces from some satellites. That on my right there that's glinting is one of those oxygen tanks I mentioned. I did not expect the game to be like this at this point. I really didn't expect to be moving between this flotilla and going to different areas. It's a cool idea. I don't think it's as good as it could have been, but it's definitely a cool concept. But I think Dead Space is a victim of its, you know, its own design, where a lot of the things you do in these games involve picking things up, going to a place and fixing things, and essentially it's taking A to point B so you can get to point C. And games design is sleight of hand at its greatest. It's sleight of hand and expression. It's art that is delivered to you by a magician. When a game is good, it's because the sleight of hand is so subtle you don't realise the mechanics. It's so subtle that you don't realise that you're essentially just taking the key to the door and opening it. When a game is not quite as good with its sleight of hand, you really notice the mechanics, you really notice how gamey things are, you really notice how contrived and mechanical it can feel, and that's when your enjoyment definitely dips. And that is a subjective thing, that, because somebody keeps buying Dynasty Warriors, that's why they keep fucking making them. And I don't know about your, but I don't know about you, should I say. Your is a very, that's part of the dialect in my region, which not a lot of people have. But I got bored with Dynasty Warriors about 10 minutes in. I had more fun in the menu than I did in the game, and I didn't have any fun in the menu. Because all you're doing is pressing one weapon. Just one button, sorry, to win. It is essentially opening a chest in God of War, the game. And I can think of better things to do, man, I really can. But this sequence here, when you're flying around going to the satellites, you'll notice I'm kind of going up, I'm kind of going down, I'm kind of going left and right. I'm doing this so that the stupid dog face guys can't hit me with their projectiles. Because I am guilty for joking about how pointless and stupid that enemy is, but if they hit you on impossible, they can kill you in 2 hits, so you want to be real careful. There's also mines chasing me right now as I get cock-blocked by the satellite. But once you've got all 3, you just need to go inside the Roanoke to craft the module, and then you can come back out and pop it on the spaceship. And then we can continue on and get out of this flotilla. But people wondering where I am on the game, I've just got to... I can't remember what it's called. I think I'm on chapter 17. We've just done the massive abseiling section, which is complete and utter bullshit, and I hated every moment of it. We've just gone through the fan, you know, the interesting fan moment on the abseiling section. And it's definitely getting interesting. They've introduced a new enemy, which some people will probably think that's a spoiler, but I often wonder, what the fuck are you doing watching a video about a game you don't want spoilers of? That seems to me kind of redundant. Like, I follow UFC. When a UFC's happened and I haven't seen it, I don't Google that UFC, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to show me the result, and I don't want to know. So it kind of works the same with games, and I don't understand a lot of the comments that I get that are mentioning spoilers. Why did you click on the video? You know, why did you watch it? Seems really redundant to me. Some of the title stuff is understandable. You know, to some people a title can be, you know, misconstrued to be a spoiler. But if it has anything to do with Virgil being a bad guy in Devil May Cry, get the fuck out, man. Come on, folks. He's been a bad guy in every game. Why was it going to be any different this time just because an English developer got hold of the license? It's bloody stupid. But we're going to be moving back to the first bench you accessed, and I believe Ellie's going to be in the room, so this is a nice opportunity to stare at her boobs if you're feeling lonely. And in here is another suit. I'm a little bit disappointed with the suits on this game, guys, gotta say. I'm saying guys a lot, and I don't know why. I like saying folks. Sounds, you know, more jazzy. But you get a military suit, a supposedly outdated military suit, which is what those guys at the beginning of the game were wearing. Said guys again, but that was actually in the right context. And it's a decent enough suit. I like the helmet, I'm just not the biggest fan of the armour. And then after that, you get another suit, which is essentially the mirror mode for the one that your partner gets. And every suit you seem to find on this game, later on you find another suit which gives you a different colour swapped version of what your partner had. So you get Carver's armour if you're Isaac, you get Isaac's armour if you're Carver, and it's just different coloured. And that's a cool thing, I like it, but it shouldn't replace, you know, good suits. Because so far, I think the ECA suit, the ECA or EVA suit, whatever it's called, I think that's probably the best looking suit so far for me. I really like the mask. I'm not that sold on the armour. I do enjoy the snow one you get, the archaeologist I think it's called. But after that, there's none I like. Carver's helmet looks kind of cool on pretty much everything he wears, except for that stupid flashlight that looks like he's filming Paranormal Activity 10. But I don't think anything is even remotely as awesome looking as the advanced suit. And I can understand perhaps on a fictional level that the advanced suit is perhaps a little bit too skimpy for this kind of weather. But that suit looks so good. That helmet looked good. Everything about that suit was awesome. Sure, it looked a little bit like lycra or spandex, but it was a cool suit. And with only 2 chapters left of the game, I don't think we'll be getting another suit. So unless you unlock some suits by doing something, or if I buy the DLC, which I'm not buying the DLC, they'd have to BJ me to get that crap. And I'm quite a shallow person when it comes to cosmetics. I do enjoy, you know, different looking outfits, but I'm not giving EA ridiculous amounts of Microsoft points just so that I can have a purple plasma core. There's There's no need for that type of shit. But once again, we're on the benches, and this is my inner turmoil. Do I wait to get a different frame that allows me to have more unlocks, or do I use tungsten to unlock the upgrade paths? This time I'm going to use a different frame. I'm tempted to do a video on weapon upgrades to try and explain to people how they work, so that you can watch one video and have a much better understanding. Because I played a lot of this game, guys, without really understanding how the hell I was crafting different weapons. Because I didn't realise that the tool and then the tip made it different. And then I didn't realise how one-handed and two-handed influenced the tool and the tip. So I know this is sounding like a euphemism for penis, but it's engineering speak. But I think that's a problem Visceral had. There's a tutorial at the beginning of the game, but at the beginning of the game the only thing you want to do is play. And I skipped it, which is completely to my own fault. Because I'm the type of person that thinks, well, learn by doing. And sometimes learning by doing, if the menu is as bad as the menus in that bench are, can be kind of awkward. Like, what's the point in the upgrade one when you can just go to the crafting one on the left and then go down and upgrade? It just seems like an unnecessary interface. There's a lot of niggly things about this game that I really don't understand. Like this. Where has this come from? Like, fictionally, maybe 200 years ago every door was opened like that. Maybe it was to stop people that couldn't use kinesis from going anywhere. Maybe this is just one giant prison for people who aren't gifted in psychic abilities. I have no idea. But the flying sequences off of the second game, when you were flying forward, I didn't really like those sequences in the second game because you could die on almost anything you touched. It's happened once on this game and it's been easy. You could touch things, you didn't die, you were shooting things, there was a boost. It was a natural evolution of the previous, iteration. But it's only happened once. Whereas the abseiling minigame, which is awful, happens about 20 times every 10 yards. And I really wanted the characters to go, Carver mentioned something along the lines of maybe these people thought that using these abseiling machines would have helped get away from the necromorphs, to stop them from getting up the mountains by using vents handily placed in every single corner of every single room. And maybe it was a conscious effort to make it safer so that the necromorphs couldn't get up. But they don't say anything. They don't mention anything. This entire planet is run on abseiling machines. There are abseiling machines on top of abseiling machines, which makes you wonder how the hell did they put them up there? Were they carrying them when they abseiled? And if so, how? There's a lot of really gamey things which aren't meant to be overthought or even thought at all, which don't make a lot of sense. And this is another one of the novelty sections right here. Not only do you get to do a little bit of mild engineering, which is as boring as it sounds, but you also get to fly this shuttle and do some shooting. And when you do this in co-op, one person flies, the other person shoots, and then whoever plays as Carver has to fly and shoot at one point, because Isaac is busy engineering. And it's a pretty interesting section. I haven't died on it at all. I don't think you can, but knowing Dead Space, you probably can. And one thing I will say, and I don't know if anybody has the same thing as I did, I play on inverted. And I inverted everything you could in this game, and apparently it didn't work on the flight controls. So the flight controls were normal, up went up, down went down, and the aim was inverted. And using both of them at the same time completely screwed my brain. I can't explain how weird this was for me. And I don't know why, because I had no problem when I did it co-op, but doing it here, you'll be thinking, why aren't I shooting the mines? Why is the aimer moving in the wrong direction? It's literally because my brain is just spazzing out. It doesn't understand what it's doing. It doesn't feel natural, it doesn't feel normal. And it actually looks like I'm doing quite a competent job, but I wasn't. Like, do you see that? When I was hugging the floor, I was meaning to go up, but I was pressing the wrong direction, because I had some pretty severe brain farts right there. But this sequence here, the engine's set on fire, I think. Oh no, we've got more flying. So if you haven't noticed, you have to try and keep the vessel screen in the squares, keep them aligned so that you're on the optimum path. No idea how much flexibility you have, but the game will tell you when you're off course. There's a couple of moments where it almost seems like you're supposed to dodge the debris, but I don't, and it doesn't fail me, so that's not a problem. Like that right there. It almost seems like you're supposed to hit this stuff so all this fancy cutscene business can happen. And when I played the demo, I thought there'd be a lot more of this, and I'm glad there isn't. Because the only game that gets interactive cutscenes right is Uncharted for me. Every other game, it just seems to feel like it's tacked on. And I haven't played Heavy Rain because I played the Indigo Prophecy or Fahrenheit, depending on what part of the world you come from. And that game started up as one of the coolest premises I've ever seen in that kind of game. And by the end of it, it just turned into Noah's Ark, fucking Matrix, Neo nonsense, and all it was ridiculous quick-time events. And I went from really liking it in the first hour to about 5 hours deep, thinking it was one of the worst games I've ever played. Minus the sex scenes, because I somehow got lucky on that game and managed to bang everything that moved. I even banged that girl when I was dead, which doesn't even make sense. But once you put them in here, I thought I was done, but you have to turn them to make them go green. So just turn them all. You don't seem to be under too much duress or too much pressure to do this quickly. And on this sequence here, when he goes up against the wall, I actually thought it was interactive. I thought we were watching it. Not interactive, sorry. I thought it was a cutscene, but it wants you to interact. That's pretty nasty just there. The co-pilot just got bladed through the face. And it would have been Dead Space unless it shows us every gory detail. But back to flying, back to shooting. This time it's a little bit foggy, a little bit misty, there's some cliff sides. And I'm not going to show you the optimum way to pilot and shoot with this ship because it just kind of crushed my cognition, it crushed my ability to think. My brain just flanged. But the cool news is you're supposed to crash on this part. I don't know if crashing earlier skips the sequence or if it results in a game over, but I wouldn't risk it. Especially if you're on hardcore. Because it's just not worth it. But all you Kurt Russell and John Carpenter fans are going to enjoy the next sequences in the game because we get to run around in our cagoules, killing necromorphs in the snow, going into little installations. It's a different environment, it's a nice change of scenery. I actually thought the video was over then. But it's just the black screen between crashing and the Empire Strikes Back moment. Which, have you noticed? The amount of times Isaac falls in this game never results in him getting his leg stuck and you having to do those really tense shooting moments, which I wasn't the biggest fan of, but I appreciated the diversity of them. On this game, they've replaced all those potential moments with ladder climbing and lift usage. It's kind of Dead Space Maintenance Edition, really. But this is the end of the video, guys. I'm just going to drop down here and you're going to see me walk out of the ship. It's nothing you need any help on or need me to talk and ramble over. So thank you for watching. I hope it's helping, and you take care now.